There is a building in Manama, Bahrain, a district called Jaffair, pressed tight against the waterfront, surrounded by 20-story luxury apartments whose residents can see the naval base from their balconies, that has housed the headquarters of the United States Navy's Fifth Fleet for 30 years. Not a remote desert installation, not a hardened underground facility. A naval headquarters in the middle of a capital city, surrounded by hotels and apartment towers and the everyday infrastructure of a country that built its modern identity on American protection. On Saturday, February 28th, smoke rose from that building, plumes visible from every apartment balcony in Jaffair, air raid sirens blaring across Manama as multiple explosions rolled through the Jaffair district. And then, to confirm what satellite imagery and stars and stripes correspondents on the ground were already reporting, the IRGC posted to its official channels. The IRGC said that Iran had targeted 4 U.S. bases in the Middle East: Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, Ali Al Salam Air Base in Kuwait, Al Dhafra Air Base in the UAE, and the U.S. Navy Fifth Fleet headquarters in Bahrain. The Fifth Fleet headquarters struck. The command center that for 30 years has been the physical backbone of American naval power across 2.5 million square miles of ocean. The Arabian Gulf, the Red Sea, the Gulf of Oman, the Arabian Sea, and parts of the Indian Ocean, covering the maritime approaches of 21 countries, managing the 3 critical choke points at Hormuz, Suez, and Bab el-Mandeb simultaneously. The command whose function is to keep the world's most important shipping lanes open. The command whose destruction, even partial, even temporary, removes the institutional nervous system through which American naval power in the region operates and communicates and directs. The Fifth Fleet has an area of operations encompassing nearly 2.5 million square miles of water area. This includes the Arabian Gulf, Red Sea, Gulf of Oman, and parts of the Indian Ocean. Their operational theater is comprised of 21 countries, including 3 critical choke points at the Strait of Hormuz, the Suez Canal, and the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb. 21 countries, 3 critical choke points: the world's oil, the world's LNG, the world's container shipping, the world's grain. Everything that travels by sea between Asia and Europe passes through one or more of those 3 choke points. Controlling those choke points is what the Fifth Fleet exists to do, and the facility that commands the Fifth Fleet's operations, that issues orders to destroyers, coordinates with coalition navies, manages the intelligence picture across 2.5 million square miles. Just had smoke rising from it in satellite imagery that every defense ministry on Earth downloaded within hours of the first reports. The source document today asks the question that this strike makes unavoidable. If 75% of American military power in the Middle East is concentrated in Bahrain's Fifth Fleet Command, if that is the node whose destruction degrades every destroyer, every carrier, every maritime security operation across the entire region simultaneously, why did America not model for its destruction before launching a war it knew Iran would respond to with exactly this kind of systematic targeting? The answer is visible in the smoke over Jaffair. America modeled a war that would be over in 4 to 5 days, a war where Iran's supreme leader would be dead, the IRGC would be decapitated, the population would rise, and the regime would collapse before any counter-strike campaign could reach the level of systematic infrastructure degradation that Iran's pre-authorized operational plan has now executed across 6 consecutive days. The model was wrong. The smoke over Jaffair is what happens when the model is wrong. The source document today identifies the geographical logic of Iran's targeting sequence. The reason why Bahrain has been struck more consistently, more deliberately, and more consequentially than any other single location in the war. And understanding that logic reveals something that no Pentagon press conference has yet addressed directly. Iran is not trying to destroy individual American bases. It is trying to destroy American Maritime Command Authority over the world's critical shipping lanes. Since the Fifth Fleet headquarters is located in Manama, near civilian areas, any strike on or near the facility carries immediate implications for host nation security and civilian infrastructure. Near civilian areas, the Fifth Fleet is not in the desert, it is in Jaffair, a district where Bahraini families live in apartment towers visible from the base's perimeter, where expat workers commute to offices within earshot of the naval facility, where the Crown Plaza Hotel and residential towers like the Era Views building and the Breaker are within drone range of the base itself. A drone slammed into the top floors of a residential tower in the Hura neighborhood, which is about a 15-minute drive from the U.S. naval installation. The Bahraini government acknowledged that several residential buildings had been hit and said firefighting and rescue operations are ongoing. The Crown Plaza Hotel in Manama was hit in a Sunday morning attack. The Crown Plaza, residential towers. The Era Views building, whose top floors were struck by a direct drone impact on Saturday night. The Breaker residential tower, whose exterior caught fire from an Iranian attack, with authorities still investigating whether drone strike or interceptor debris caused the blaze. These are the collateral consequences of Iran targeting the Fifth Fleet Command in its geographical reality. Embedded in a capital city, surrounded by the civilian infrastructure of a country whose population did not choose this war. And Bahrain's airport. Bahrain's Ministry of Interior confirmed that the country's international airport was targeted with a drone, resulting in material damage without loss of life. The airport that serves as the evacuation point for thousands of American citizens, military families, and civilian contractors, the State Department told to depart now from 13 countries. The airport that is the only major commercial exit from Bahrain. Targeted. Material damage. Departure flights for military families paused following the attack. Stars and Stripes reported on Sunday, meaning the families of American service members stationed at the Fifth Fleet were unable to leave the country they had been ordered to evacuate because the airport they were ordered to use had just been struck by a drone. Now add the Indian Ocean dimension. An MST-class combatant support ship, which was on a mission to refuel U.S. naval vessels in the Indian Ocean, was hit by Iranian Qadr 380 missiles. A combatant support ship, not a warship, not a destroyer with Aegis radar and a magazine of interceptors, a support vessel, the floating gas station of the American carrier battle group, the ship that extends the operational range of every destroyer and aircraft carrier in the Fifth Fleet's area of operations by giving them the ability to refuel at sea rather than returning to port. Strike the support vessel, and you do not destroy the fleet's firepower. You destroy its endurance. You compress its operational range. You force it to return to port more frequently, to ports that are also being struck. The Fatah-1 hypersonic missile, Iran calls it the Conqueror, at Mach 13-15 speed, is designed for maneuverability within the atmosphere. Today, that math resulted in at least one confirmed hit on a service center near the base's command and control hub. NSA Bahrain isn't out in the desert like Al Udeid. It's shoved into the middle of Manama's Jaffair district, surrounded by 20-story luxury apartments. Command and control hub. Service center. The Fatah-1 that found the service center near the command hub was not stopped by THAAD, not stopped by Patriot, not stopped by ship-based Aegis, because the Fatah-1 is a maneuvering hypersonic weapon specifically designed to defeat terminal phase intercept systems. The same systems that America's allied Gulf states have been firing at Shahed drones costing $35,000 apiece, the systems whose interceptors cost $4 million each. The systems whose combined stockpiles across 6 Gulf countries plus the U.S. Navy are now measured in days. There's a sentence from We Are the Mighty, the American veteran-oriented military analysis publication whose readership is active and former American service members who understand exactly what they're reading, published on Sunday, March 1st, that captures what the smoke over Jaffair means in terms the American military community cannot pretend does not apply to them. We bought the airspace over the Persian Gulf for $1 trillion, but today Iran showed they could rent it for an afternoon with loose change. $1 trillion. 30 years of American military spending on bases, on Patriot batteries, on THAAD systems, on the Fifth Fleet's destroyer squadrons and carrier groups and command infrastructure, on the intelligence architecture and logistics networks and refueling chains, invested in a security architecture premised on the deterrent effect of visible, overwhelming American military presence. The theory? If Iran sees the Fifth Fleet, if Iran sees THAAD and Patriot batteries across 6 Gulf countries, if Iran sees B-2 bombers that can reach Tehran from Missouri, Iran calculates that the cost of attacking American assets is too high to accept and does not attack. That theory required one condition, that America's military architecture, when challenged, could absorb the challenge without visible, photographable, internationally broadcast damage. The moment smoke rises from the Fifth Fleet headquarters in Jaffair, the moment drone footage of the Aeroviews Tower burning in Hura plays on every television in every country in the Middle East, the moment a combatant support ship in the Indian Ocean is struck by Qadr 380 missiles from 650 kilometers away, the deterrent effect of $1 trillion investment evaporates. Because deterrence is not a physical property of weapon systems. It is a psychological property of adversary calculations. And every adversary calculating whether to challenge American military primacy in its own region, every government watching the smoke over Jaffair, every military command reviewing the Fatah-1 hit on the Command and Control Service Center, every naval analyst studying the Indian Ocean support ship strike, is now running a different calculation than they ran on February 27th. Russia's S-300s in Venezuela were nothing but paperweights because of corruption. The U.S. shield in Bahrain is under pressure because of attrition. What happens when the enemy stops bringing a rifle and starts bringing 10,000 rocks? 10,000 rocks. The American military publication is asking the question that Iran's operational doctrine has already answered. You do not defeat America with a rifle. With one sophisticated weapon, one decisive strike, one moment of overwhelming force, you defeat America with 10,000 rocks, 10,000 cheap drones manufactured in Iranian factories, fired one at a time, 2 at a time, 5 at a time, each one requiring a $4 million interceptor to stop, each one degrading the stockpile by one more unit, each one making the next wave slightly more likely to find its target because the defensive umbrella has slightly fewer missiles than it had the salvo before. The source document identifies the endpoint of this arithmetic with clinical precision. Iran can fight for 4 to 5 years with its existing drone stockpile while manufacturing replacements. America can fight for weeks, maybe months if it husbands its interceptor stocks carefully, before the stockpile depletion forces a choice between defending the Gulf and defending Taiwan. The Heritage Foundation modeled systemic failure at 30 to 60 days. The Pentagon is telling Trump to end it fast. Rubio confirmed 6 to 7 interceptors per month. The Thayad battery is destroyed. The Fifth Fleet headquarters is struck. The Indian Ocean support ship is out of service. Iran's Khamenei planned this from his deathbed, assigned every unit its task, gave every commander a pre-authorized mission that required no further instruction from any living authority, and then died, leaving America in the position of having destroyed the only person who could have stopped what he set in motion, while simultaneously discovering that the military architecture built to deter exactly this scenario could not survive the 10,000 rocks problem. The Jaffair district of Manama is still clearing smoke. The Crown Plaza is still assessing damage. The Araviews Tower is still standing with its top floors destroyed. The Breaker Residential Tower is still showing fire damage on its exterior, and the families of American service members who were told to depart now from Bahrain could not leave on Sunday, because the airport they were supposed to use had just been hit by a drone. America spent $1 trillion renting the airspace over the Persian Gulf. Iran showed it could contest that rental for an afternoon. And day 6, the contest is not over. Share this video to every contact you have right now. Iran struck the Fifth Fleet headquarters in Jaffair, 2.5 million square miles of maritime command across 21 countries, 3 choke points, all the world's oil shipping. A support ship was hit in the Indian Ocean, cutting the fleet's operational range. The Fatah 1 hypersonic struck the Command and Control Service Center. America spent $1 trillion on Gulf security. Iran showed it could contest that security with cheap drones and loose change. Day 6. The smoke over Jaffair is still visible.